The queen slept every night with raw meat strapped to her face. She escaped from her castle because she hated it. Her hair reached the floor, and she had a secret staircase built just so she could sneak food in the dark. Every single night, Cece went to bed wearing a leather mask, and lining the inside of that mask were thin slices of raw veal. On other nights, it was crushed strawberries or rose petals. She bathed in warm olive oil, sometimes in donkey's milk. She slept in cloths soaked in vinegar, and slept with no pillow at all because someone had once told her it was better for her face. But the face was nothing compared to the hair. Cece's hair reached all the way down to her ankles. It was so heavy it gave her headaches, and styling it took 3 full hours, every single morning. Washing it was an event that took an entire day, done with a mixture of egg yolks and cognac, and the rules around it were insane. The lady-in-waiting who styled her hair was forbidden from wearing rings. She had to wear white gloves, so she'd never damage a single strand. Every hair that fell out had to be gathered from a white sheet on the floor, catalogued, and presented to Cece in a silver bowl, where the poor woman was then scolded for it. Every day, she had to pluck out any gray hairs, one by one. If her hairdresser wasn't available, Cece canceled everything. State events, public appearances. The Empress of Austria would shut down her entire schedule because her hair couldn't be done. Cece was obsessed with staying active in a way no royal woman of her time ever was. She had a gymnasium installed in every single one of her palaces. Gymnastic rings and balance beams in her own bedroom. She'd be found hanging from the rings. She took up fencing in her 50s. She was one of the greatest horsewomen alive, riding for hours every day, and when her joints finally gave out, she replaced it with walks that could last up to 10 hours. But underneath all the discipline was something darker. At night, she would sometimes sneak food, and she was so determined that no one ever see her do it that she had a secret staircase built, running straight from her private rooms down to the kitchen, so she could slip down in the dark and eat where no one would ever know. She even had a small anchor tattoo, almost unheard of for a royal woman of her time. Cece had been married into a rigid, suffocating court as a teenager, with no power and no freedom. Her face, her hair, her body, they were the only things in the entire empire that were hers to command. So she commanded them completely, and slowly, it swallowed her whole life. She stopped seeing her husband, stopped seeing the public. She wandered Europe endlessly, never staying anywhere, refusing to let people look at her, guarding her mystique like a secret. And then she made the strangest decision of all. At 32 years old, still considered one of the most beautiful women in the world, Cece banned it. No more photographs, no more portraits, not a single new image of her face for the rest of her life. In public, she hid behind a fan, behind a parasol, behind anything she could find. She had decided that the world would only ever remember her young, and it worked. Every photograph that exists of Empress Elizabeth is of a young woman. The years after 32, gone, hidden on purpose. A face erased from history by the very person who owned it. The most beautiful woman in Europe, who turned her own beauty into a cage and then locked the world out of it forever.